Hi everyone. Let's talk about UFOs. And let's start with defining that term. UFO means unidentified flying object. I'm sure you all know that. But the key word here is unidentified. But I'm not going to be talking about just any unidentified thing in the sky. Of course, I'm going to be talking about the pseudoscience that revolves around the claim that unidentified flying objects, at least some of them, are actually alien spaceships. So I would like to introduce the term ASS for alien spaceship. That's gonna get confusing when we talk about anal probing. Okay, let's go with ETS for extraterrestrial ship. Yeah, that works. Let's also get rid of a very common objection that believers have whenever a skeptic opens his mouth, and that is, but life has to exist somewhere else. I mean, come on, do you actually think we're alone in the whole universe? How arrogant are you? I agree. We know life exists. We know it can form naturally. Shut up! We know of living beings capable of spaceflight. I mean, we even know of living beings who have set foot on a planetary body other than their own homeworld. Humans. The moon. Shut up! I'll get to that one. I wouldn't say life has to exist somewhere else, but statistically it should. I try plugging in some numbers into the Drake equation, and as long as I try to be somewhat realistic, I get 10, 15, something. Meaning there should be 10 or 15 civilizations in our galaxy right now that are all as advanced as we are, if not more. But let's get this straight. The claim that life exists elsewhere in the universe is one thing. The claim that we are being visited is another. Of course, the problem with aliens visiting us is they would have to get here somehow. Talking to a UFO believer about astronomy and the distances in space, it's like talking to a creationist about biology. Look, here it is, very quickly. Back in the day when people believed that UFOs are ships from Mars, that was one thing. Traveling between Earth and Mars is doable. We can do it with today's technology. Traveling to Mars would take us, well, depending on where the planets are relative to each other at the time, it could take anything between 6 months to a couple of years. But that's nothing. Taking a trip to a nearby star, like Alpha Centauri, that would take at least several hundred years. It's only 4 light years away. Yeah, that's 4 years at the speed of light, and we can't travel 1,000th that fast. Maybe with a couple of slingshot maneuvers and solar sails, we could get up to like 10% the speed of light. That's it. The speed of light is the ultimate speed limit, and we have to expect that aliens are something like, well, at least several hundred light years away, because if they were closer than that, then we would be picking up their transmissions. You don't get to go from life exists elsewhere to therefore anything you see in the sky that you can't identify is an ETS. In order for these so-called UFO believers to be taken seriously, what they need to do is present evidence that we are being visited. Let's have a look at some of the evidence they present. Wait, hang on. Before we do, let's go over the whole evidence thing. You know, what is evidence? There is no single good definition that everyone can agree on. So here's my attempt. In science, evidence would be anything that supports a claim and 1. Is or could be considered the outcome of a test that has at least one potential outcome that would falsify the claim. 2. Can be verified independently by anyone. And 3. Could not also be used as evidence in support of a contradictory claim, which is not in conflict with currently accepted theories. This means that, as Carl Sagan put it, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. If someone says,
"Last night, when me and my buddies were done watching NASCAR, we got drunk, and then we got drunk. So we saw this pretty thing in the sky, right? And I think they was aliens. I know what I saw. I was drunk off my ass, but I know what I saw. And I can prove it, because Jim Bob, he had that cell phone thing with him, and he took pictures. They came out all blurry as shit, but Jim Bob been drinking too."
that's not evidence.
Now you wait a minute right there, because there was 16 of us, and
So
we
what?
all saw it.
So what?
And Bubba is a pilot.
So
He
what?
knows that thing wasn't
So what?
no airplane.
If it can't be examined so that it can be verified independently, then it's not evidence. If there's no way the test or the observation could have falsified the claim, then it's not evidence. And if it's easy to come up with an explanation for it that doesn't involve changing everything we know about the universe, then it's not evidence! Are you familiar with the Ceolacanth? It's a fish that was thought to have gone extinct millions of years ago. What eventually convinced scientists that the Ceolacanth actually still exists was when someone actually presented the scientific community with a physical specimen that could be studied. So that's basically what would convince scientists that we're being visited by aliens. A physical specimen. An actual alien or alien artifact. So far, zip. Unless of course you listen to whack jobs who will argue that we've found a lot, it's just that it's all covered up. Of course, that's a contradiction in and of itself, because if it's covered up, how can they know about it? Yeah, because another conspiracy nut said so. Rinse, repeat. Until we finally get to some guy who says he was abducted and anal probed. He had this extraterrestrial butt plug surgically removed from his ass, but of course the men in black came and took it away. How convenient. A standard problem with people who believe in pseudosciences is that they don't understand the difference between the existence of the phenomenon and the explanation for the phenomenon. You saw something. Fine. Others saw it too. Fine. You had surgery. Fine. A bunch of cows died. Okay. Your uncle has a crop circle in his field. I don't care. It's not the phenomena I don't believe in. It's the explanation that these phenomena are caused by aliens. That is a positive claim that requires evidence. Claiming that it must be aliens simply because you can't think of any other explanation, that's an argument from ignorance. As the skeptic, I don't have to come up with an alternative explanation. You made the claim. The burden of proof is on you. Okay, I think we're ready to have a look at some of the evidence now.